Today we're playing Call of Duty in an actual fighter jet.
Going hands-on with one of the hottest gadgets of the year.
And reviewing a ridiculous superhero game.
This is the IGN Show.
What she said.
Hi, and welcome to the IGN Show. I'm Naomi Kyle, and this is William Haynes. Spoiler alert, today's show is awesome.
Coming up, we're going to check out the highly anticipated Super NES Classic from Nintendo, which hopefully won't be impossible to find in stores. Plus, we'll take you inside the new action RPG Dauntless, which puts a fresh spin on Monster Hunter games.
Then we'll go hands-on with Call of Duty World War II, which brings the series back to its roots. And later, we'll head to Gamescom for a look at all the biggest games on the show floor.
But first, it's time to feel the need to throw up at high altitudes.
When IGN does an Extreme Gaming Challenge, we go all out, like making someone play an air combat mission in Call of Duty Infinite Warfare while flying an actual jet.
Max Scoville and Brian Altano, with the help of some trained professionals, put one man to the test. Do not try this at home with your fighter jets.
I'm Brian Altano, this is Max Scoville. Now, you've probably played a video game before, and you've probably been in an airplane before, but have you ever played a video game in the back of a jet going more than the speed of sound? Oh! Oh! That's why we're here today. We are at MIG-Flugen, California, and we've brought our pal Nathan Barnett, who's known for doing weird, insane stuff in the name of gaming. But we're about to push him to his very limits. We're gonna make him get in the back of that jet and play video games. Because we're really mean people. Using our custom-built extreme gaming rig, we're having Nathan play Call of Duty Infinite Warfare's fighter jet mission in an actual fighter jet. Do you have any special maneuvers planned today for Nathan?
I was surprised. Yeah. Probably you're gonna throw up.
Oh, great.
We're gonna start with a simple roll. The plane gonna roll around like this.
Classic barrel roll.
No, the next one will be a barrel roll.
What about a Dutch crunch roll?
Oh, gosh, I'm actually nervous. I'm Nathan Barnett, and this is IGN's Extreme Gaming Challenge, and I'm playing Call of Duty in a fighter jet. I haven't even started the game. Okay. Oh! Oh! That was awesome. Oh, I can't even play. Wow. Oh. Oh, 3-6. Oh, wow. I got the guy. Oh, wow.
Probably you're gonna throw up. Probably you're gonna throw up. Throw up. Throw up. Throw up. Throw up. Throw up.
Wow. Oh, this is awesome. Oh, I can see the shadow of the jet. I think I did black out for a second. It felt weird.
Well, Nathan, you did it. You survived IGN's first Extreme Gaming Challenge.
Wait, hold on. You are way too blasé about the fact that you just played video games in the back of a jet.
It's true.
Has anyone done that?
I did.
You might be the first person to do that.
We're calling Guinness Book of World Records.
Yes.
One of the hottest, most sought-after items during the last holiday season was the NES Classic. They were almost impossible to find, and still kind of are. Nintendo is set to launch a follow-up, the Super NES Classic, and anticipation is through the roof. IGN's Brian Altano managed to get his hands on one, so let's check it out.
The Super Nintendo Classic is a faithful, tiny tribute to Nintendo's early 90s 16-bit gaming console. Sure, it's mostly just a little plastic gray box with purple buttons, but the magic it has inside of it will bring back a million gaming memories. While the form factor of the console itself is adorable, it's the games lineup that you're here for, and the SNES Classic comes with an impeccably strong roster of masterpieces. From Super Mario World to Contra 3 and Donkey Kong Country, there isn't a weak game in the entire collection. Legends like A Link to the Past, Final Fantasy III, and Earthbound will take you dozens of hours to complete in their entirety, and all of them still hold up today. This is a fantastic collection of games, and seeing them all together in one place will make you truly appreciate how special the Super Nintendo was. The controller itself has been recreated perfectly. The D-pad is spot on, the purple face buttons have that oddly satisfying mix of concave and convex feel, and that weird but familiar bump map texture is present on the entire controller surface. And with two controllers in the box, you won't have to worry about hunting down a second one. The controller cord is 5 feet long, 2 feet longer than they were on the NES Classic. Still not long enough to stretch across the average living room, but if Nintendo keeps adding 2 feet of cord to every classic console they make, maybe you'll be able to reach the TV from your couch by the time the GameCube Classic is available. Since these games were never designed to fill a widescreen television display, you're able to toggle through a number of different frames to adorn the borders of your games while you play. Some of the borders are animated, some are static, or you can opt to use none of them at all. The games look pixel perfect on an HD display either way. Dig a bit deeper and you'll find that each game also has an embedded QR code that unlocks scans of the original manuals. If Nintendo actually manages to ship some of these to stores to satisfy demand, the Super Nintendo Classic will be a fantastic place to play some of the best retro games ever made. If not, you'll have to spend this fall refreshing online retailer websites and battling absurdly priced third-party auctions. Let's hope it's the former, because the toughest thing about this Super Nintendo should be putting it down, not picking it up.
All right, Brian, so I have to confess, my very first console was an N64, so I didn't even get to play anything on an SNES. And I imagine most of our viewers are younger than I am. So
Sure.
Are these games worth playing for us? Do they hold up?
I think they absolutely do hold up. I think games like Super Mario World, Super Metroid, and Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past are some of the best installments in those respective franchises. I think that they still look gorgeous. They're going to look great on your TV through your HDMI port, and playing them with two controllers, maybe you can sit down with someone who kind of does know what they're doing. You know what I'm talking about?
Like you
Like
can
me.
show me. It's going to be fantastic. All right, let's talk about the NES Classic. So before the SNES Classic, they had this very pint-sized NES Classic that was very difficult to find.
Yeah.
A lot of people purchased it, put it on eBay for a huge markup. Do you think the average consumer is going to be able to get their hands on the SNES Classic this time?
We keep hearing from Nintendo that it'll be easier, there'll be significantly more of these things out in the wild, but historically, as we've seen with the Switch, it's just hard to buy some of this stuff. I don't know if it's because they ship too many or ship too few or so many people want them. It's hard to say. But there's a better chance this time around, but just keep refreshing IGN, Amazon, and the rest of your favorite sites and see if you can get it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Brian. Stay right there because we've got so much show left. Coming up, we'll go hands-on with Call of Duty World War II. Plus, we've got a review of the over-the-top superhero game Agents of Mayhem. Then, a preview of the new game Dauntless. We'll show you all of the monsters you'll be squaring off against. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the IGN Show. Call of Duty World War II is one of the year's most anticipated games, and it's because we're revisiting the era that made the series so popular in the first place. So don't expect any jetpacks or lasers. Let's go hands-on.
Playing Call of Duty World War II's multiplayer beta feels like a modernized version of Call of Duty 2.
I recognize that fans of the more recent ultra sci-fi Call of Duty games might be turned off by the deliberate downshift in gears, but for me, as someone who's played every entry in the series since its PC debut, I mean that as a very strong compliment. Being back in the 1940s European theater of World War II means your boots will stay planted firmly on the ground. Plenty about it feels welcomely 2017, such as the career progression that lets you specialize in classes, culminating in a special weapon unlock. It's a natural RPG-style mechanic that should help keep the playing field between new players and seasoned pros a bit more level for a longer amount of time. This meaty beta offers 3 maps and several game modes, including Team Deathmatch, Domination, and Hardpoint, the latter of which is a King of the Hill style exercise similar to the fantastic Headquarters mode of Call of Duty games gone by. Somewhat confusingly, Headquarters now references the game's playable social lobby, where you can wander around, look at leaderboards, practice your shot on the firing range, and challenge other players in a one-on-one pit, among other things. By far my favorite part of the beta, and I suspect of the entire multiplayer suite, is War Mode. It's a 12-on-12 in which the Axis and allies wrestle with an objective. On the Operation Breakout map here, the attackers must escort a tank across a bridge while the defenders try to stop them. Each time the attackers succeed in their local objective, like building the bridge, the defenders must fall back and set up shop in an entirely new area. Map design, mode variety, and character progression are all looking good in Call of Duty World War II. It seems Call of Duty's best way to move forward may be to go back. For more on Call of Duty World War II, stick with IGN.
Dauntless is a brand new action RPG made by developers that worked at Riot Games, Blizzard, BioWare, and Capcom.
Their pitch, make a monster game that's as challenging as Dark Souls, but also free to play.
We're in. Here's a look at some of the monsters you'll be trying to take down later this year. Behemoths offer valuable crafting material when defeated, and their trophies are the metric of your progression through Dauntless. Here's a look at a few of the massive monsters I've seen in early access. The first behemoth players will hunt is the Gnasher. Its rodent-like appearance is far from intimidating, but the Gnasher is large and quite ill-tempered. Its most dangerous attacks hinge on its huge tail. Like all behemoths, the Gnasher will temporarily enrage, increasing the frequency and potency of its attacks. During this phase, a repeated tail slam and foot stomp present the biggest threats. Once the tail is removed, the Gnasher loses most of its offensive capabilities and is easily defeated. Swift and agile, the next foe is the terrifying Shrike. The Shrike is a jouster and spends the majority of its time charging the player with a long-range glide attack. In between charges, the Shrike's other abilities are varied and dangerous, from a simple punch to a dizzying tornado conjured by its massive wings. To defeat the Shrike, take advantage of the invulnerability frames in your character's dodge roll and be ready to punish if the Shrike trips during a charge. The Shrike's northern cousin is the Scrave. Sporting massive horns and terrifying claws, the Scrave's icy attacks make it a much more dangerous foe than its predecessor. The Flying Body Slam, for instance, now produces icy spikes, which inflict a bleed effect, and its gliding charge is modified with an encroaching wall of snow. Its most dangerous attacks, though, are ones which leave your character frozen. If you see an ally step on an icy mine or get hit by a frozen blast, you'll need to shatter the ice to set them loose. Next up is my personal favorite, the Quill Shot. As the name would imply, the Quill Shot launches massive projectiles from its back in an attempt to hit you and your team. What makes the fight challenging is the different shot patterns the Quill Shot employs. 1 minute he may focus a single player with a barrage, and the next shoot quills in every which direction. Be wary of body slams and shoulder charges, and focus one area of the Quill Shot to temporarily disrupt his volley. There are plenty more behemoths to discover and defeat when Dauntless goes into beta in September. For more, check out IGN.com.
Coming up, we've got a review of the superhero-themed Agents of Mayhem.
But first, if you really want to know what's worth playing, check out my top 5 games to play right now.
welcome back to the IGN Show. We travel all around the world to gaming and pop culture conventions while you sit on the couch and watch. But there's nothing quite like Gamescom.
It's a massive event, and all of this year's biggest upcoming games are there. Overwatch escort map Junkertown is playable here at Gamescom, and as an Australian myself, I am very curious to check out what Blizzard's interpretation of the Australian outback looks like. Let's check it out. Verdict, you guys. I'm not going to lie, Junkertown does not have very much in common with Australia, but I don't mind. In Blizzard's lore, this is the hometown of the Junkers, which are lawless scavengers including Junkrat and Roadhog, and every inch of the map seems to tie into those characters, having you escort the payload full of gold that we saw in the map's trailer. So before the match even started, I think that we were hanging out in Junkrat and Roadhog's kind of apartment. It was basically a barn that had a lot of cool stuff in there, and one particular highlight for me was seeing Roadhog's actual bike. It's just so much attention to detail that Blizzard really never lets us down on. So then out of the gate, you're in a big open space with a floor of red dirt and buildings made of wood and tin, #Australia. They're pretty open too, and the map seems to favor width over height in the starting moments, mostly featuring two-story buildings. As the payload moves further into the map, though, you get into the actual city of Junkertown with the intimidating gate opening as you get close. The inside is a much more dense kind of shanty town, feeling less like the Australian outback and more like a Mad Max-style megacity with some more splashes of color. There are narrow paths and stealth opportunities all through the city too, and I definitely feel like I didn't find every single tunnel in the map, even though I actively did try to. So my first impression there is that it's pretty dense and there's a lot of opportunity to have a hero sneak up and surprise you. Next is the scrapyard, which is supposedly an old factory where mechs used to be built, and it does look distinctly different from every other part of the map. From there, we ended up in the Queen of Junkertown's chambers with a part of the map that's actually animated. There's a giant spinning turbine of sorts, which no doubt is going to be a lot of fun for turret placement, and I think some heroes might have a lot of fun just standing up there and spinning around. It'll be really interesting to see what the community does with this specific thing and the unique challenges it might present. Overall, I really like the map, I really like the visual variety, and there was definitely a good mix between wide spaces and tall spaces, and there was plenty of places to go, so I cannot wait for it to come out later this year.
After the break, we'll review Agents of Mayhem, which is a superhero spin-off of Saints Row. But first, I think it's time for an Overwatch dance party.
Welcome back. The Saints Row franchise grows crazier and more outlandish with each installment, and it's hard to believe that the series started off as a Grand Theft Auto clone. Agents of Mayhem is a spin-off of the popular series, with lots of familiar faces and gameplay that's more superhero than gangster. Here's IGN editor John Ryan with our review.
Agents of Mayhem fully commits to its TV action roots, complete with some catchy theme music, animated cutscenes, and knowing is half the battle-esque life lessons between loading screens. Taking place after a hostile global takeover by the Evil Legion, it's up to the multinational agency for hunting evil masterminds to step in and push back the tide. In this world, Seoul, South Korea became Earth's hub of technology, and it's refreshing to see a modern open world that isn't a Western city. It's unfortunate then that such a colorful and diverse setting and its citizens are never really treated as more than just window dressing. NPCs are little more than extra debris in a fight, and while there's technically a lot of stuff to do around Seoul, that's all most of these activities felt like. Thankfully, there's a lot of fun to be had while battling this endless supply of helmeted bad guys, and the moment-to-moment gunplay is as stylish as it is satisfying. Agents of Mayhem's arcadey run-and-gun action, coupled with its core agent-swapping mechanic and the varied enemy tactics, made combat frantic and fun enough that I almost didn't mind the fact that I was essentially battling the same group of bad guys for hours on end. The strongest aspect of Agents of Mayhem are its special episodes, which set the main story aside in favor of shining the spotlight on individual agents. Little details like learning of one agent's crush on another.
Why? What did you hear? Oh, thank goodness.
Or someone's love of 90s rap rock.
What is wrong with rap rock?
We don't got time for that now.
Help flesh out each character and really let me empathize with the team. It boasts some well-developed characters, a fun arsenal of unique weapons and gadgets, and the multi-hero action offers some good mindless fun, but due to some unpolished writing and repetitive design choices, it doesn't fully live up to its heroic potential.
Coming up on our next episode, we'll check out the new characters in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Plus, Spider-Man's Tom Holland will return to test his knowledge of the web-slinger's gadgets.
And in our next Extreme Gaming Challenge, we'll try to take down a convoy in Ghost Recon Wildlands while racing in a dune buggy.
That does it for this episode of the IGN Show. Stay on face.
Remember to keep it locked to IGN.
Thanks for watching, guys. I really am glad that you're getting back on Snapchat.
Yes, I want to Snapchat everyone.
You need to take more time.
I'm the Snapchat master.
It's very important that you Snapchat.